So, in the previous part, it started with the chapter The Rise of the Marathas. So, in this chapter, we are primarily focusing on Marathas. So, we have started that Marathas are native to the Deccan Plateau. So, Deccan Plateau, most of its parts are in Maharashtra. So, the language which they speak is Marathi, and Marathi has such long culture and tradition. We can understand its duration based on the poems and scriptures which are composed in Marathi. So, this we have to remember the Deccan Plateau, Marathas ruled over and are native to the Deccan Plateau, which is the present day Maharashtra, most of the parts, and the language is Marathi. And starting with the 13th century, most of the Maharashtra, that is the Deccan regions, was ruled by the Yadava dynasty, who has kept their capital to be Devagiri, which is the present day Daulatabad. And in the 14th century, it has come under the Khilji, that is the Mughal Empire. So initially, it used to be under the Yadavas, that is their capital was Devagiri, which was Daulatabad, and in the 14th century, it has come under the Mughal rule. And in the 7th to the 17th century, Bhakti has flourished and people started being more spiritual. Spirituality has been at its peaks in these centuries from 7th to 17th century. And even many poems and scriptures were made in the language of common people, and therefore the idea of bhakti has rose because even the common people started to understand what actually spirituality means. And it is also seen the rise of many Marathi poets like Tukaram, Ramdas, and many more in this period, and they have also helped in the translation of major scriptures into Marathi, like the Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, all are also translated into Marathi, so that even common people can understand those scriptures. And first, it has started to be as a spiritual movement, but later on, due to the ongoing invasions, it had started to be as revolutions, because we have already seen this happening in the Sikhism as well. That is, initially it was as a spiritual movement, but later on, due to the Mughal invasions, they have started to actually cope up to fight against the invasions. So here also it happened in the same way. In the form of poems itself, they started to unite people against the invasions. So in the 17th century, Marathas many chiefs have tried to gain sovereignty. That is, they tried to make independent kingdoms according to their own and fighting back against the invasions, but they weren't successful until Shivaji has rose. So Shivaji was the Maratha chief who was able to be successful in his ideology in gaining sovereignty. Most of the chiefs, Maratha chiefs, have thought to get sovereignty. They tried, but they were unsuccessful. But Shivaji was the one who was successful. So now we understood about who is Shivaji. So Shivaji was born to Shaji and Jijabai, and Shivaji's father Shaji used to serve the Deccan Sultanates. So we know that the Bahmani Sultanate has broke down into 5, and they were known to be as the Deccan Sultanates, and most of the Marathas have served to the Deccan Sultanates. And Shivaji was brought up by his mother Jijabai and many other people, and he was given training in military, and he was brought up with values and the idea of Swaraj. So at the age of 16, he launched military campaigns and he took hold of Pune by capturing the unoccupied and those forts which were not paid much attention. He has started capturing those forts, and slowly he took hold of Pune, the present day regions of Pune. So at the age of 16, he has accomplished this feat. And starting with Pune, and then he has expanded it towards the west coast. West coast, when he had expanded, he had understood the need of navy. So navy is the one who will be the armed forces near the sea. So whenever you wanted to work in the waters, it is important to have a navy. And Shivaji has understood the importance of navy, and he has established a perfect full-formed navy. So when you see the comparison of Bijapur Sultanate and the Mughal Empire, both the Bijapur Sultanate, which is ruled by Adil Shahi, the dynasty has maintained merchant navy and had limited navy. They were having only limited navy, not full-fledged armed forces. And the Mughals also maintained navy, but it was limited. So in comparison to this, the Marathas army was fully equipped and properly paced. So at that time, this idea was very revolutionary, because at that time nobody even thought the importance of navy, but Shivaji understood and has placed a proper navy, and so he was able to get a proper hold of the sea. And he has also learned the guerrilla warfare. Guerrilla warfare we have seen in the Maharana Pratap's time as well, how much importance it is. Guerrilla warfare is where a person will know every keen detail about where he is fighting, and he'll be knowing the best ways to approach. Seeing the growth of Shivaji, seeing all these things, Bijapur Sultanate has sent veteran general Afzal Khan. So the Bijapur Sultanate has sent the veteran general Afzal Khan, and Shivaji somehow has convinced Afzal Khan to come and meet one-on-one in the Pratapgarh fort. So this is the Pratapgarh fort. So Shivaji has convinced him to come and meet one-on-one. So when Afzal Khan has come to the place of Shivaji, so whenever some outsider has come to our place, so it is same as a guerrilla warfare scheme. So we know our place, but the outsider will not know. So Shivaji has killed Afzal Khan, and Shivaji's military was able to manage and subside Afzal Khan's army with their guerrilla warfare skills. So this is how they have combated the Bijapur Sultanate's veteran general Afzal Khan. Seeing this, the Mughals have sent Shaista Khan, and he has conducted war for 3 years. For 3 continuous years, they had war with Shivaji's army. So what did Shivaji do in retaliation to this? So one fine day, during the night, Shivaji's army has went and have attacked on the Shaista Khan's army, and they have fought, and they were able to eliminate most of Shaista Khan's army, but somehow Shaista Khan was able to flee from that place, and he left Maharashtra itself. So in this way they have combated this Shaista Khan's attack on Shivaji. But in retaliation to this, what had the Mughals had done for 3 years, Shivaji has went to the Surat port and he has plundered wealth. And Surat was one of the wealthiest port at that time, which was under the control of the Mughals. But he had paid attention and spared the house of Mohandas Parikh, who was known to be a charitable man. So Shivaji was mindful in this. He has just plundered wealth and left. And even the news of his plunder has come in the London Gazette, which was an English newspaper. It has posted because Shivaji has wrote letters to the English officials to give money, to send wealth to Shivaji, or else he'll again do the same what he has done to the Surat port. He will plunder the wealth. So this was also mentioned in the London Gazette, which was an English newspaper. So in retaliation to what Shivaji has done, because that was the Mughal port and it was such a shame for the Mughals because someone has come, plundered wealth and left. So Aurangzeb, to retaliate this, has sent the Rajput general Jai Singh. So what did Jai Singh do? Jai Singh, who was a Rajput general, has fought with Shivaji in the Purandar fort, and finally Shivaji had to declare in the Purandar fort. So this is the Purandar fort which is near Pune, and he had to sign a treaty. So this treaty says that he have to give up a sizable part of his kingdom. So he has lost a small part of his kingdom, and also his son Shambhaji had to go serve in the Mughal service. So you have to enter the Mughal service. So this was what are the conditions in the treaty after the war between Jai Singh and Shivaji. So somehow Jai Singh has pursued Shivaji to come and meet Aurangzeb in the Mughal court, and in the Mughal court, which is in Agra, Shivaji was made to stand in front of Aurangzeb and also a general who Shivaji has already defeated earlier. So one was Aurangzeb was there, and also a general was there whom Shivaji has already defeated. So seeing this as an insult, Shivaji has walked out from the court, and then Shivaji was house arrested by Aurangzeb. House arrest in the sense making him keep in his house under guards. So what did Shivaji do? Shivaji has planned to escape, and he had started putting fruits and sweets in big baskets and sending it to the people outside, to the generals and the common people and the poor and the needy and all these things. He used to send fruits and sweets in big baskets. Initially, the Mughal guards and generals used to search these boxes, what is there inside these baskets, whether it's fruits or not, and like that. But slowly they are used to see the fruits and vegetables, and they thought that they have stopped checking, and they let them go without checking. So taking this as an advantage, Shivaji and his son Shambhaji, who has to enter in the Mughal service due to the treaty, had escaped in these baskets itself. So they hid in these baskets, and these both escaped, and after this escape, ever again never was Aurangzeb able to capture Shivaji. So this is how they have escaped from the house arrest, both Shivaji and his son Shambhaji. So again, after this, in the year 1674, in the Raigad fort, Shivaji was again coronated, that is made king in formal terms, and he was given a formal title Shri Raj Shiva Chhatrapati, and like many other kings, he had started his era, which is the Rajyabhisheka Shaka. And what had happened? He had started the conquest of South. Conquest of South in the sense the Dakshina Digvijaya. So he had named it to be the Dakshina Digvijaya. Dakshina in the sense South, and Vijaya in the sense winning. So he had started to win over the South. That is the northern Tamil Nadu and some parts of Karnataka. So in this way he started to conquer the South. And Shivaji at his 50 years of age fever has claimed his life at the age of 50 years. And this is how the story of a great warrior had come to an end. And they have also mentioned about the Bundela prince, who was Chhatrasal, who was inspired by Shivaji's feats, and he was able to make his independent kingdom, which is the Bundelkhand. And also Bhushan, who was a Hindi poet, has specially come to Maharashtra in order to see Shivaji, and also wrote poems in praise of Shivaji. So until here we have completed in the previous part. So now we'll start about the Marathas after Shivaji. So until now we have studied about Marathas with Shivaji. So now after Shivaji, what had happened? starting with Marathas after Shivaji. So until now we have studied about Marathas until Shivaji. Now Marathas after Shivaji. So Shivaji had two sons, Shambhaji and Rajaram. And after Shivaji's death, Shambhaji has become the Chhatrapati. So he is a successor of Shivaji. And Marathas were then the only obstacle to the total Mughal control of the Deccan, that is the parts of Maharashtra. So Shivaji was there and he has two sons, that is Shambhaji and Rajaram. You might have seen about Shambhaji in the film Chhawa. So you can just remember like that, Shambhaji, and he was the successor. He was made the Chhatrapati after Shivaji. Shambhaji was made. And Marathas were the only one who were obstacle in the sense a trouble for the Mughals to take the whole control of the Deccan regions. So Aurangzeb invaded the Deccan and conquered the Bijapur or the Adil Shahi dynasties and Golconda or the Qutub Shahi sultanates. So Aurangzeb has already invaded the Deccan and conquered Bijapur and Golconda. And he then captured Shambhaji and after torturing him brutally has executed him. And after this he captured Raigad, the Maratha capital. So here we can see that Aurangzeb has initially started with Bijapur and Golconda by capturing these, and later he has also captured Shambhaji and executed him as well. And he has captured Raigad, which is the Maratha capital. So you have to remember that Raigad is the Maratha capital at that period of time. So after Shambhaji, Rajaram became the Chhatrapati and he had fled to this place which is in the present day Tamil Nadu. So after Shambhaji, Shivaji's other son, who was Rajaram, was made the successor. But he had fled to this place which is in the present day Tamil Nadu. And the Mughal-Maratha conflict thus spread to South India as well. So initially it was in the Deccan regions, but later because of the Rajaram fleeing to Tamil Nadu, this conflict has spread to the South India as well. And the Marathas staunchly defended their fortresses and often had upper hand over the Mughals in battles and skirmishes. And Aurangzeb was thus unable to leave the Deccan and died without having succeeded in subduing the Marathas, who emerged as a strong contender to the Mughals. So basically, Aurangzeb was not able to leave the Deccan. So he had a plan that only after capturing the Deccan will he be able to move from that place. But due to the Marathas, who were so strong in their forces, that he was never able to capture the whole of the Deccan, and so he had died without succeeding in his goal. So Marathas have emerged to be a big competitors for the Mughals. So they were able to withstand those invasions. No longer on the defensive, the Marathas led by Tarabai, who was Rajaram's queen. So we can see that Rajaram was the son of Shivaji. So Rajaram's queen, who was Tarabai, you have to remember this name, very important. Rajaram's queen was Tarabai, had made large-scale inroads into the Mughal territories and eventually conquering large parts of India. So she has played a very important role in the Marathas' reign. And during this rapid expansion, the Marathas themselves underwent a structural transformation. The centralized state from Shivaji's time gave way to the more decentralized structure and still nominally centered around the Chhatrapati, but with the chiefs wielding more power. So basically in the Shivaji's time, whole of the power used to be in one place. But in the expansions, because when the land is becoming more, the control of your land is becoming more, then you need to have grassroots ruling. So initially it used to be centralized in at one person, but now it has become more diversified, and even the local governance has started to improve, but the chiefs had prominent control over the place. And in particular, the Peshwa, which is a Persian term for prime minister, wielded great influence even over the Chhatrapati himself. So even on the Chhatrapati, Peshwa, who was the prime minister, had most control. In particular, the Peshwa Bajirao I and his son Nana Sahib Peshwa were instrumental in the pan-Indian expansion of the Marathas. So basically, whole of the control has to be on the Chhatrapati. But when Peshwas had come into play, mostly you have to remember Peshwa Bajirao I and his son Nana Sahib Peshwa. They had control even on the Chhatrapati himself, and they had played a major role in the expansion of the Marathas. And the Marathas bought large parts of India under their control and generally ruled them well. But with the regional chiefs acquiring more power and autonomy, this also resulted in occasional indiscipline and abuse, in stark contrast with Shivaji's values. So basically, whenever anybody think of Shivaji's rule, there will be certain aspects in his rule, like everything should be properly placed and all these things. But when the kingdom has become more, then it will be more difficult for ruling that place. So there will be some indisciplines happening. So everything won't be happening in those terms, because there will be many people involved and every person has their own aspirations to do. So it is not that a small kingdom so that one person can take over the whole thing. When it is more decentralized, then there will be more faults happening. So overall, the ruling was fine, but there were also some problems in this. And for instance, the Marathas' 10-year campaign in Bengal has inflicted much cruelty and devastation on the common people. So even though they were fighting for the best, but the common people were suffering in between. So the Marathas briefly controlled the areas of Lahore, Attock, and even Peshawar, which is the modern day Pakistan, and they fought with the Afghans. And even though they have suffered defeat at the Panipat in 1761, they quickly recovered during the time of Peshwa Madhavrao I. So even though they had to face defeat, the Marathas has faced defeat in the Panipat in 1761, but they have recovered as soon as possible because of the efforts of Peshwa Madhavrao, and they were able to cope up quickly from this defeat. And under the leadership of Muhammad Shinde, also known as Mahatji Scindia, and they went on to recapture Delhi in 1771, which remained under their control till the British captured it 3 decades later. So basically, the Delhi was under the control of the Mughals, but under the leadership of Mahatji Shinde, they were able to capture Delhi, and it was under their control for 3 decades, and it was from the Mughals to the Marathas, and then from Marathas it has went into the British. So it was in between, there were 3 decades. So Delhi was under the Marathas control for 3 decades. And all these efforts, the credit goes to Mahatji Shinde. Under his leadership, they were able to capture Delhi, recapturing Delhi. And in the later half of the 18th century, the chief rivals of the British in India were the Marathas. So initially, Mughals were the chief rivals for the Marathas, but later on it has went as the rivals for Marathas were the British people. And 3 Anglo-Maratha wars, as they are called, were fought in between 1775 to 1818. 1775 to 1818, 3 Anglo Maratha wars were formed. And owing to the Marathas' increased internal disunity and superior organizations and technological abilities of the British, they succeeded in ending the Maratha power. And in effect, the British took India from Maratha more than from the Mughals and any other power. So, there were many problems for the reason of conversion of these Marathas, the losing their power to the British. So the one of the reasons is the disunity among them, because whenever the kingdom is expanding, obviously there will be disputes among the family members and all the local bodies as well, and therefore there was no unity in them, and therefore one backstabbing the other, and we Indians itself helping the British, and all these things have created issues, and therefore Marathas had to lose to the British. And another reason was that the British had new technologies. They had the gunpowder and the modern warfare and all these things. So due to these reasons, the Marathas had to lose to the British. So this is the Maratha Empire. So with this, we have studied how the Marathas were able to cope up with the Mughals. They were able to gain control over the Mughal Empire, and how they had stopped the invasion of the Mughals in the Deccan, and later they were also able to resist the British, but finally they had lost to the British, and Maratha's empire has come mostly under the control of British. So until now, we have studied about how they ruled and what were the things they had to go to continue their reign.